Sounds good. Roll call. Chairman Danielle Spicer.
Here.
Vice Chairman Mike Moore.
Present.
Peter Driscoll.
You just got very faint, Erica.
Yeah, if that was me, I'm here, Erica, but I couldn't hear
That
you.
was Peter Driscoll.
Present.
There you go. Mark Sprague
Here.
and James Barr, Associate.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum.
All right, so we'll go ahead and start. The first item on the agenda is the potential appointment to the Design Review Board with Elizabeth Hutchins, and the Planning Board to consider an appointment of Ms. Hutchins to the Design Review Board. So welcome, Liz. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Let me start my video here and you can see me.
Great. I think, why don't we start off with just why you're interested to become a member on the Design Review Board?
Sure. So I moved to Bolton in November of 2019. As most of you know, I'm living in the Moderator Way area. I have 2 kids in the community going to schools, and I literally never plan on moving again. So something I've always wanted to do is get involved in the community in which I'm living. We were in Lancaster for 7 or actually 8 years before we moved here. So we've kind of been regionally here for a while. I wanted to get involved in Lancaster and I lived there, but it was a little bit difficult given what was going on. I had super young kids at the time. So I feel like, you know, working with the planning board, even getting involved in sort of what's going on with Moderator Way and working through all that has really gotten me interested in sort of how the bylaws and rules and regulations are applied and all of that. And like I said, I want to get involved in the town and learn how things work and help out where I can. So.
Great, thank you. Did you get a chance to kind of, I guess, see, I saw in your application, you're going both for either ZBA or Design Review Board. So the Design Review Board is a little bit different. It's more of, it's an advisory to the town. And they meet to kind of really go over the, like there's specific requirements we have for the design review, you know, with what they want to look at, and then they'll review when someone kind of goes in front of them, they'll review the plans and you know, kind of based on those regulations and kind of talk about, you know, how they're meeting them, give suggestions, and then they'll write usually a recommendation kind of to the planning board. But it's not, I guess, it's more of they you know, give recommendations to the different boards in town. There's not any permitting or anything like that through them.
Yep.
Yeah.
I kind of was reading through the bylaws and the application of the Design Review Board. There's obviously not like a ton of information on exactly what they do, but it looks like they really are focused more on commercial projects than residential projects, which I saw obviously. I did actually see randomly, I was looking back in meeting minutes for something else, and I did notice that there was discussion about using the Design Review Board more for like larger residential projects. So just completely out of curiosity, is that something that's like still being investigated, or does the Design Review Board in Bolton really, is it meant to really focus more on that commercial involvement?
That's a good question. I mean, I think right now that's kind of how it is focused. I know we talked to, so Michelle Tuck is the chair of the Design Review Board, and you know, whether it be appropriate to have them in front of for large residential. I honestly, I'm trying to remember exactly where that ended up. I don't know if any of you remember what the thoughts were.
I mean, if larger projects tend to be a 40B, you know, we ask them to go to the design review board, but we can't necessarily compel them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so far they actually have, the other 4 have gone in front of the Design Review Board, which has been good. But it hasn't, I guess we haven't gone to that next level of kind of requiring large subdivisions to go to the design board. It could be done at a later date. I don't think it was, you know, vetted out yet, I guess is what I would say.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard when you don't know, and the developers don't even necessarily know exactly what houses they're building on what
Yeah.
lot. It's kind of
Yeah.
hard to, it's not like a
Commercial
planned
building where they-
subdivision or a 40B or commercial where you know exactly what's being built.
Mhm.
So it's a little bit harder from that aspect, but
Yeah.
Just realized I still had my company background. I should change that, sorry. Not representing my company here. All right, did anyone else have any additional questions for Liz?
have you talked to anybody on the design review board to, get, like Michelle, to get an idea, an idea of some of the details of what they do and look at and, kind of make sure it's what you're
I
looking
have-
to do?
Yeah, I have not yet. I think Erica and I think I was put on the agenda like last week, so it really hasn't been a lot of time for me to reach out, but I've been thinking about doing that. I know I also got the contact information from the guy from the ZBA, and I have his contact information to reach out to him too. But I do realize that Design Review Board and ZBA are both sort of like ad hoc, so it's not like they're consistently holding meetings or anything like that. So it is a little bit trickier, I feel like, to get to talk to those people when you're not having those meetings on a regular basis, but.
Sure, and I guess the one question I had, so ZBA is definitely regulation oriented. I mean, that's 100% kind of what they're doing. And I think I saw you had mentioned in your application, you do like a lot of QC of
Mhm.
stuff. Is that? Oh,
Yeah,
so I
so
was just
Yeah, QA and compliance.
sorry.
So like what I do is regulation based.
Yeah.
So I'm consistently looking at regulation and applying it and making sure that things are abiding by. So I guess actually that's a question I have about Design Review Board because it was kind of unclear. So their role is obviously to review these large scale projects that are coming through, obviously from somewhat of an architectural and engineering perspective, but what is the purpose of that? Like, are they looking to make suggestions to make sure that it just kind of fits in with the town structure and the town vibe, if you will, for lack of a better term? Or is it still to be looking to make sure that they're sort of presenting a plan that still is in line with sort of the expectations from that perspective?
So I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, it's definitely like ZBA, you'd be 100%, you're kind of reviewing exactly what you, I think, have an excellent expertise in.
Mhm.
Whereas Design Review Board, it is more of, we certainly want, the recommendations there are to make sure something's being put in town that is going to complement it and to,
Mhm.
work with the town. But along those lines, additionally, I'm not an architect, so I can't speak to Michelle's expertise
Mhm.
and everything, but she's great at kind of pointing out small things that could be, modified that really kind of go along with what the intent would be. And, she kind of goes into more that I'm looking outside of the, as an engineer, I look outside the building and kind of
Mhm.
engineering aspect. And are we complying with that? Is there a better way to lay something, out
Yeah.
or, still meet the compliance? So it's a little bit of, it's not as stringent, I guess, as stringent or as
Yeah.
specific, but there
Yeah.
are specific guidelines that we still want to follow, obviously with compliance, with our town regs and everything. But it is more kind of, I guess, architecturally and based, so to speak,
Yeah.
not just architecturally, but just designs, whether it's landscape and all that, those other things as well.
Aesthetics.
Yeah.
Thank you.
aesthetic.
That's the word.
I saw it on the tip of your tongue.
I know.
Yeah. I would add to that, if you want to get more heavily involved, just the ZBA is going to have a pretty big role coming up here because all 40Bs go before the ZBA.
Yeah.
And if there's definitely 40Bs coming. So if you want to get heavily involved, that's going to be like multiple hearings. It's going to be kind of a hot seat, probably, I would say, in the near future.
Okay, that's good to know. So yeah, I mean, I guess from having this conversation, I think ZBA seems a little bit more what I would be interested in. Like I'm less concerned about how architecturally things fit into the town, although Bolton is beautiful and I do love it here. But yeah, I guess so that being said, so what Erica had told me in her email was that ZBA obviously is not meeting a lot currently. So, or I don't know if it was Erica or Pam or whoever. So it's, I don't even know like how to like move forward with that because they're not meeting. So how,
Gotcha.
I guess. And I know this is sort of outside the purview of the planning board meeting, so I'm kind of hijacking, but.
That's a
I
good
mean,
question.
I think I would talk to Gerard.
Okay,
You know, he's a great guy, very easy to talk to, you know, get a lot of, he can give you a lot of details on what they do and how they do it.
yeah,
I guess I would suggest go back into the, you know, go back into the videos and you know, watch a few of the meetings.
mhm,
And that would give you a flavor for the sort of, you know, work they do and how they approach it and that sort of thing.
yeah, okay.
And that would, you know, that would, and also give you a flavor for the personalities to, you know, to, to see whether those are good or bad, you know, fit for you. So,
Erica, ZBA is appointed by the selectmen, right? So the ZBA doesn't have to meet to get her on, right? She just has to get before the selectmen.
Our standard procedure is that anyone that is seeking to sit on that board, I typically have them go before that board just as a meet and greet, and then they will vote to make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen for the appointment. So that is generally how it's done. But like Liz said, you know, right now we don't have any meetings coming up. So so that's why we had given her Gerard's email to reach out to him personally. And then from whatever Gerard would like to do next, we can either set up a special meeting or, you know, kind of take it from there.
Okay. So out of curiosity, is there any like active projects for a design review board right now? Like, is there anything going on actively with that? Because that's also ad hoc.
No, not right now.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we probably will ask Design Review Board to talk on 40Bs if the 40B will have it. But again, that's just advisory, probably.
I think we've usually had them chime in and then we roll their comments into our feedback.
Yeah, because the design review board will write a recommendation to the planning board before the planning board gets a chance to review it. So that way, when the planning board reviews it, they at least have the comments from the design
Context.
review board
Yeah.
to kind of include.
Okay. Okay. And then so ZBA fits into that how with that? Because like that's sort of the other side of it, right?
So ZBA is the permit granting authority for comprehensive
Okay.
permits, which is a 40B project. So there,
Yeah.
that would be the board that would issue the permit, and they would be the board that would trigger design review. You know, at the agreement of the applicant, like we had
Mhm.
said, it's not required in our bylaw, but we certainly
Yeah.
typically ask for it. So
Yeah.
that's where it would start. It would, and typically, you know, and as this board has mentioned, one of the initial steps when they have to go to the state for their site approval letter, in that process, they reach out to the town for initial comments. And that's when the planning board typically says, we request that the applicant go through design review board. So it's sort of hit upon twice.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Okay. So I'm going to reach out to Gerard then and talk to him. And then I guess should I ask him for next steps on sort of what he wants to do? Is that how I should sort of move forward with that?
Yeah, that you certainly can do that. That would be fine. Yep.
Okay.
I think he's going to be the best person to be able to kind of answer that question.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well, thank you.
all right. And if anything changes, you know, you're more than welcome to kind of come back. You know,
Yeah.
if something falls through with the ZBA, you know, just come on back and we can discuss the design review board then. I mean,
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. All right. Thank you guys for
all
having
right.
me. Have a good rest of your night.
Thank you for coming on.
Great. Thank
All
you.
Thank
right,
you.
bye, guys.
Liz, well, hold on real quick.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say I'm on the same page with you and I understand, you know, on what you're doing. I moved into Bolton about 8 years ago, living in Woburn, grew up in Lynn. So, you know, seeing the different changes and want to maintain what we have here
Yeah.
I love this town, just as much as you do, it sounds. And that's why I got involved as well. So I completely understand where you're coming from. And, everything from the CBA to whatever where it starts, it's a good process to get involved with. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I look forward to kind of getting involved and getting, to know everyone a little bit better and help our community. So.
Excellent.
That's great.
Very good, great.
Great. All right. Thanks,
We need
guys.
more people
Thank
doing
you.
that.
All right. Bye.
Thanks, bye. All right, planning articles to discuss finding zoning articles. I think we've gone over them. I know, Erica, you've already made any last minute changes that we talked about. Is there anything specific that people want to, I guess the one thing we need to talk about is who's presenting what. And we have the amend accessory apartment bylaw, the amend temporary sign bylaw, and the propose outdoor lighting bylaw. I'm willing to lighting bylaw since I'm the one that brought it up and kind of put it in front of everyone. So I can take that one. Did anyone want to do the accessory apartment bylaw or temporary sign bylaw?
I'll do one of them. I don't care which.
You want to do the accessory apartment bylaw?
Sure.
I mean, the temporary sign bylaw, I mean, either I or you could do, I mean, it's such a
Yeah,
small
that
one.
one. Easy peasy.
Yeah, I'd say between you or I, we can do that. And then, okay. Did anyone else have any additional questions or comments on the articles?
So it's just the three, and then do we
And then the
actually
road
present
acceptance.
one for road acceptance? Okay, yeah.
That's correct. Yes. And one for road acceptance.
Okay.
So someone does need to bring up the Houghton Farm Road acceptance as well then, right?
Yes, I have to modify this language because the board didn't technically vote to recommend that article at the hearing date. So I'll just have to modify that language.
Did we get, actually, before I jump onto that, any questions on the first three before we jump to Houghton Farm?
Danielle,
No,
I had
okay.
one question, if you don't mind.
yeah.
So for the outdoor lighting bylaw, and this is something that I recently, if you just bear with me 1 second, that I shared with Pam because I wasn't sure about the bylaw numbering, and perhaps the board would like to weigh in on that. I still have it blank because I'm not exactly sure where to fit it in. So Pam was going to check with General Code, which is the website we use to maintain all of our bylaws. So when I look at, so this is the current numbering here. I think a good place for the outdoor lighting bylaw would be under general regulations after we talk about driveways and parking and prior to sign regulations. To me, that seems like it would be a good fit, and something that I didn't realize that we'll have to go back and correct next year is under driveways and parking. There's a section that talks about lighting and it references the design review criteria. I think you'll want to add in, if this passes, then the outdoor lighting bylaw as well.
Okay, yeah. Yep.
So we'll just make a note of that for next year. If it passes, that we'll want to update that. But that, to me, particularly because it's so important for parking and parking lots, the lighting,
Yeah.
that seems like a good location. So what I've asked Pam is for them to weigh in. And then also in terms of the numbering, it's gotten quite crazy. Like, I've been in the past, been doing like 0.1, 0.2 to just get these bylaws in, which I don't particularly like. So I'm going to find out whether or not it needs to go through town meeting to do a renumbering.
Okay. I would hope it doesn't need to go to town.
I would
meeting.
hope not either, but yeah, we'll
That's it.
confirm. But if you guys
Well,
are okay
okay.
with that location, I'll figure out what the new numbering would be at that location.
I think a while back, it might have been 5 to 10 years ago, we did have a renumbering bylaw. I think the whole thing was renumbered. I don't remember the process, but
It was renumbered. But I can't imagine that you have to keep renumbering every few years. I mean, there is a clause in each of the articles that talks about being able to kind of tweak the numbering. So I don't know if that's sufficient, but I'll find out. I just wanted to make sure that in terms of the location, because otherwise, I don't know. I mean, it would have to be like, for example, if we decide we want it after the driveway and parking bylaw, right now that's section 250-17. I'd have to put it in as 250-17.1, which to me makes no sense because it's not really, it's related, but it's a separate bylaw. So I hate that kind of numbering. And I wanted to get it cleaned up.
No, that makes sense.
Okay.
Okay. I have a question for Houghton Farms. So we did not make a motion yet. We were, I think at the last meeting, Niche had received the as-built was reviewing, but we hadn't received it back. Is that right?
So I did just recently receive a report back from Niche. Actually, I can call that up if you'd like to see it. And basically they signed off on the as-built plan saying that it was in general conformance with the approved plans. So we've gotten their sign off. And then in that report, they talk about just the remaining, outstanding items that'll need to be addressed prior to town meeting. So I've basically taken that and I've drafted your report. And that's what this is here to the Board of Selectmen.
So that's what we want to vote on tonight. So that way that can be sent to the board of selectmen. for them
Yeah,
to vote on.
I think we're in good enough shape where I think the board hopefully feels comfortable enough to do that vote and to make that recommendation. Knowing that we're calling out the reasons why we're making the recommendation, then also calling out what items are left or remaining to be completed. So, full transparency, this is everything here.
Yeah, and then I think the main thing we wanted to make sure was Niche was good with the as-built because it didn't make sense to make a motion until we felt like Niche had signed off on that.
Exactly right.
Um,
So did you want to see that report first? I can bring it up and then go to this report, or we can just look at this report. It's up to you.
I think if you just scroll down on this report has the items at the end, right?
Correct. So at the last bullet item here, I say that High Oaks Realty Trust submitted a letter of commitment to complete the following site items prior to annual town meeting 2021. And then these are literally all of the items. And most of these items came up
Or
in
spring,
January when I did that site visit with our new DPW director. So they are items that came up at a point where they weren't really in a position to do construction work. So they'll be able to do that probably next month or in the next couple of weeks. Because I did speak to Peter Bradley and he wants to get this done as soon as possible. So I'm hoping this will be completed very shortly.
No, I mean, most of all this stuff is stuff you wouldn't do in the wintertime anyways. You'd wait
Right.
until springtime to do. Did they give an indication of how long? I mean, is this like a week's worth of work or is it, do we know?
Yeah, I think most of these items are pretty minor. I think the biggest
Yeah.
thing is getting some pavement for
That entrance?
yeah, the entrances to the side, the gravel sidewalk. That's probably, the hardest part. And then obviously getting the seed to come in, like you said, that's really a springtime item. So
Did anyone
the-
else want to see?
Yeah, the
Sorry,
goal
Mel.
is to have all that done before town meeting. That's the plan.
that's the plan. I mean, what I can say too, and I've listed in this report is we're still holding right here over $200,000 in a tri-party agreement for bond, as well as a cash bond for almost $7,500. So in terms of surety, we're above and beyond where, far exceeding where we need to be with that. So from that perspective, I feel very comfortable, even if some of these items linger after town meeting, knowing that we're still holding on to that money. The fire cistern was signed off by the fire department. Conservation, a certificate of completion was issued. They're current on taxes. They've submitted their draft deeds. I've gotten written statements of approval from Board of Health, police, fire,
They've pretty much
So-
got.
Yeah, I mean, their road acceptance fee, I believe, should be in my mailbox at the office. I plan to go in tomorrow, so I'll double check, but they said they submitted this amount here. And then the plans have been approved. Hamway had sent a letter saying that based on the work he had seen, he was signing off on the project. So I feel very comfortable if the board decides to take a vote tonight based on all of these items.
Do they have plans to come to the board to ask for any of that bond to be released?
No, they have not. Nope.
I would assume they wouldn't come until after it's all done.
At this point, I would say, yes. I mean, if he were in a rush to get that bond, he would have done it years ago.
Yeah. right.
Yeah, I think he just wants to get it accepted, and I don't think he's too
And then,
worried
yeah.
about the bond at this point.
Okay.
He
yeah.
will be going, so Greg Roy is his engineer, and he'll be going before the Board of Selectmen tomorrow night to present the as-built plans and the street acceptance plan to that board.
Okay.
So it's up to this board tonight if you want to wait. I can have you guys sign off on this letter at the next meeting, or we can sign off on it tonight and I can send it to Jenny for the Board of Selectmen meeting tomorrow night. It's completely up to you how you want to handle it.
I think I'd rather sign off on it tonight and have it sent to the Board of Selectmen for their meeting tomorrow, because that's kind of what we had indicated time-wise, what we were going to do.
Yeah.
If-
I mean,
if
there's nothing
the-
crazy left to do. So.
Yeah. I mean, if the board is amenable to making a motion to accept this, that was kind of the timeline we had said we were following. So if the board's okay with that, I'd like to get in the Board of Selectmen's hands.
Yeah, I'm okay with making a motion. So is the motion to accept the Houghton Farm subdivision road?
No, I think the motion would be to make a recommendation to include road acceptance of Houghton Farm Lane on the warrant.
Okay. I will make a motion to accept the Houghton Farm road on the 2021 town warrant.
Second,
All right, we'll do a roll call for all those in favor.
Roll call, Danielle Spicer,
Aye.
Michael Gore,
Aye.
Peter Driscoll,
Aye.
Eric Nyland,
Aye.
and Mark Sprague.
I,
All right, passed unanimously.
wish they were all this easy.
Well, if you would just stop voting against us, Mark.
Well, if you would just listen and agree with me, then I wouldn't have to vote against.
All right, so I think the next thing is just administration. Is that right? We'll do approval of the meeting minutes for February.
Yes.
I had reviewed those.
I apologize. I just have to pull it up. I thought I had opened it, but I did not. Nope. What am I doing? Oh my goodness. There we go.
Yeah, this one's a pretty straightforward, not too big, so. I'm all set unless others have comments, questions.
I'm all set.
Set.
Good.
I'll
Wanna
make a
make a motion?
motion. Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the planning board minutes from February 24th, 2021.
Second,
Roll call, all those in favor?
Chair Danielle Spicer,
Aye.
Vice Chair Mark Gore,
Aye.
Peter Driscoll,
Aye.
Eric Nyland,
Aye.
and Mark Sprague.
Aye.
All right, motion passed unanimously. And Erica, if you want to bring up the planning board to review your exit memo.
That's quite the document.
It is.
Yes.
Oh, and I guess I can also let you all know, I did decide to run again. So if I get elected, you stuck with me for 5 more years.
Awesome.
I don't know what we would do without you. We'd be able to
You
throw
wouldn't have as many
acronym-
acronyms thrown at you.
Well, no, but people would tell them to us and we'd be like, I guess so.
Town would be overrun in stormwater. We wouldn't know what to do.
That's awesome, Danielle. I'm so happy you decided to run again. That's great. Okay, so can you see the exit memo?
Yes. Yep.
So basically, I was just trying to highlight sort of, I guess, the important aspects. The first section is just obviously pretty explanatory. It's just, you know, the various boards that work closely with the town planner. Sometimes these email groupings, it's just helpful to have so that they can send an email quickly.
Oh, the one thing, if you want to do at the beginning, just because it may be helpful if I'm needed, kind of like where we had our meeting, unfortunately, Zoom bombed. If under planning board, if you want to actually list my cell phone, because this isn't going to be a public document. This
On
isn't
there, I
going to be a
think.
public document, right? This is just for
All
her.
right. This is just for her. So change
Yeah.
to cell phone.
Yeah, just because if she needs to get me, the cell phone's the best way. If she's calling my home phone, it's going to be, who knows? My kids could be, you know, picking up and going.
Got it. Okay. And this may change. I don't know, Danielle, if who ends up, I was just putting the chair down. So for right now, this is perfect.
Yeah, through the end of, obviously, what is it? When do we elect a new chair? Is it May or June?
It's after town, usually the election. So whatever date that is.
Okay.
But I think in May, we typically do that. So then, I include the planning board and ZBA peer reviewers. I provided her with the short list. She can pick from that short list who she'd like to use moving forward. And then links to the annual reports from last year, link to the town meeting articles for this year, sort of a background on building and driveway permit applications, and sort of how that works. ANRs, I track the ANRs, so that's there. Planning board projects, environmental pools did submit their application for special permit on Monday. So this is something that this will probably be one of the first things that she'll have to work on, is getting that public hearing scheduled for them. And then also they submitted an application for design review. So I think the board will have to make a determination whether or not, based on the work that they're doing, if you want them to go before the design review board.
I think we had suggested that they do. So they
We
wanted
did,
to
yeah, we
and
did.
some other stuff. And I think we had pointed them at DRB to review that and give feedback on it.
Okay. I was going to hold on because they had submitted 2 different application fees. So I was going to hold off on the DRB, but maybe I won't. Maybe I'll just go ahead and turn that over. And then Tadmore Square, Danielle and Eric are familiar with this concept plan. We had an internal meeting with Bruce Wheeler about this. It's the parcel next to Tadmore. He's looking to do some type of mixed use development. So he'll be coming before the board at your next meeting to review that and to start talking about potential zoning amendments.
Basically the same thing he was talking about.
Yeah,
Erica? Yeah.
yep,
Cool.
yep, mixed use with senior housing and some office and potentially like a Dunkin' Donuts or something.
Right. So we'd have to add them to the overlay.
Yeah, you'd have to do something. And then it's just been so crazy trying to get everything in order prior to my departure. I haven't had a chance to advertise for the subdivision rules and regs and design review board rules and regs public hearing. So I'm hoping she can kind of just, I'll get the legal notices ready for her, but if she can kind of just follow through with that, hopefully you guys can have that meeting come April or that hearing. So information on that. Meadow Road, I just gave her a little bit of background on Meadow Road, just in case, you know, an applicant comes forward and tries to do a single driveway curb cut. I want to make sure that she understands that this is what was agreed upon. Century Mill Estates, that's pretty lengthy just because it's, you know, there's just so many documents associated with it and it's been such an ongoing process. So things in red are sort of things that are most urgent or important that kind of need to be followed through with. One thing I did want to point out about this is that now that we've released lot 25B and they'll likely be selling it, when they go to seek occupancy, I think the board does have leverage at that point to make him follow through with that second affordable housing payment. So I'm just recommending here that, you know, that be sort of a dangling carrot that needs to get in before we can sign off on the occupancy.
Is there a way to get to the owners of the house and let them know that this is hanging out there? I mean, so it doesn't come down to
It's Andy, basically. If you remember, I don't know if you remember, but in the last meeting, Andy
Yeah.
had said that he was going to get $50,000 from the sale
From
of
the
this
sale of
house
that.
potentially. So Christine Palmer, the woman that owns this particular house, is actually his accountant, and he had transferred that the deed of that property to Christine for $1. So he's still
okay.
involved. He's very, so I still think the board should push for the second payment with this lot.
But to Eric's point, she's going to come before us asking for an occupancy permit and say, well, I don't know those taxes, or I don't know that affordable unit.
Right. It's going to be like Christmas Day or the meeting
Yeah.
before Christmas and be like, oh, but you know, our presents won't have a tree. Please let us move in. It's going to be some sob story. And then we're going to have to.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't buy it, to be honest with you. I think that she's his accountant. It was transferred for $1. I think there are some things there that, you know, Andy, when they did the lot release at the last meeting, the attorneys had mentioned both Christine and Andy in his initial, discussion of it. So I would still push for it. And then if you guys decide that you can't, then that's fine, but I would at least try.
Because he still needs that as part of road acceptance.
He
anyway,
does.
right?
He does.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Houghton Farm, just making sure that current punch list gets done. Tadmore, we need to figure out the affordable unit at Tadmore. I think we're up against that 7th building permit or close to it. So he either needs to construct it or give you a fee in lieu, or the board needs to give some leniency to like another building, issuance of the last building permit or whatever, however you want to do it, but something needs to be done for that condition to be met. Keys Farm, we all know all the issues with Keys Farm, lots of things highlighted in red. Bob did request a bond reduction, but I haven't brought it to the board's attention yet, just because they do owe us some money for the peer review account, which I haven't received. So I figured I'm waiting until I get that money before I bring it to your attention. So that will be coming down the line. And I would just be careful to make sure that we're holding it a minimum of 10%. And then also just making sure that we have enough to cover any of the outstanding items in the punch list. 649 Main Street, they're almost done. They owe us, when they go to get their last occupancy, they do need to donate the $10,000 to the sidewalk gift account. So that's highlighted in red. ZBA projects. Economic development. Eric, I didn't know if you want any more listed here. I just basically said that, some of these documents need to be updated, and here is sort of, the location for the files. I left it at that.
Okay. Yeah, I saw your email from earlier.
Okay. Master plan, just where some of that documentation is found. Housing production plan, which, oh, by the way, was submitted to DHCD. I got that submitted last week. So hopefully they'll just accept it, or they'll come back with some comments. So that's good news. Green community. So this is coming up. This is going to be one of the priorities that she'll need to focus on. The grant round, the applications need to be in by April. So this is going to be a significant amount of work. Affordable housing. So I've put together an RFP for the affordable lot that we got off of Houghton Farm, lot 15. Habitat for Humanity had reached out to us probably about a year ago now, looking to potentially do a partnership there. So it does have to go through a bid process. So I put together an RFP. So I'm hoping she can kind of take that and meet with the Affordable Housing Trust to get that moving. Our Regional Housing Consortium, she's very familiar with that. Oh, that's the draft RFP. Housing choice designation. This is another initiative with Magic that we're part of. Board of Selectmen will need to make a decision whether or not to join the IMA on that. And then just here listing out, links to our most current applications, regulations, bylaws, and fees. I did update the website with the new fee schedule, making sure that all of our regulation, bylaws, and applications are up to date. I believe they are. So that should be in good shape. And then finances, just giving her links to all of the different folders for, turnovers, bills to be paid, invoices, driveway sureties. And then we have a couple of different gift accounts. And I think that's it, hopefully. Hopefully I didn't miss anything.
Yeah, looks great. Erica, I want to say, so how long have you been here? 6 years?
7, actually. It's been
Yeah,
7 now.
It's I couldn't imagine somebody making, when I was the chairman of the planning board, it easier. Same thing with economic development. You've done an amazing job, and we're definitely going to miss you.
Thank you, Eric. I really appreciate that.
You definitely have. You've been a real asset to the town.
Yeah.
Really, really good to work with.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep. Thank you, Erica, for everything you've done.
No problem. And Valerie starts on Monday. So I think it'll be a very smooth transition, and you'll get to meet her at your next meeting. So
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. I sit in on the interview, and she seems really good and very enthusiastic. So she should be good.
Thank you,
I think
Erica.
that was it.
Erica, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
All right.
Actually, just one other
Oh, yeah.
comment, Danielle.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just thinking, so Board of Selectmen, I will be at the Board of Selectmen meeting tomorrow night because they're going to be talking about the articles. I know in the past, some planning board members like to go to that. So I just wanted to let you know that if you desire to, be on that call, it's tomorrow night. So, okay.
I may have I have another meeting from 5 to 7 and then one at 7:30. When is there hearing at 7?
I don't know what time the article, it's a pretty full agenda. I don't know the exact
Yeah.
time.
Well, the other item of interest is the 40B on Kane property is going to be introduced. So it's a big one.
That's a big one. Yep.
I don't think I'll be able to. I have too many evening meetings tomorrow. I don't know if anyone else from the board wants to join the Board of Selectmen meeting tomorrow, but
I'll try. I can't promise.
Yeah, no worries. Nobody has to. I'll be on the call. I just know in the past,
Yeah,
sometimes you guys like to be at least
Yeah.
notified of it. So
yeah.
Erica, what time, what time?
I'll send it to you guys. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Sometime
If you want
after
to just send us a
7.
quick email.
All right, yeah, please, if I assume it's gonna be a Zoom.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, yeah, please send it to me. I'll I think I can make it, so.
Okay, sure.
Right.
I think they're doing a walkthrough with town council, so they may not even really have any questions for us. I never know with Bob Sikansky. He may say, oh, can you tell us about this article? I'm just never quite sure. So could go either way.
I think Bob already had his influence where we took a bunch of the details out of the
Yeah, where we took all, yep. Actually, that was actually one thing, I don't know if you want to put there, Memo is just what's been helpful in the past couple of years is when we go to town meeting, when we do that cheat sheet. If she can help prepare the cheat sheet, and I can try to bring it up at the next hearing, but just letting her know for the 3 articles, you know.
The report?
We don't need it for the sign one, but maybe for the apartment and the outdoor lighting.
Oh, yep. I have the fact sheets and I have the
Yeah,
report.
they
I
were
gotta-
included in the
great.
email, right?
Yep. I'll get the
Oh.
fact sheets on the town's website and I'll, yeah, it should be in that email.
Okay.
And
I missed
Valerie
that.
can update it however you would like in preparation.
Okay. Awesome. I totally missed that.
All right, so do we need a motion to adjourn?
We
Yep.
do.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right.
Bye, Erica. We're gonna miss
Erica,
you.
good
Touch,
Bye,
night.
Erica.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you,
Aye.
Erica.
You know where we live.